Hi and welcome to Scrooge Media. This is my 2003 E55 AMG. I've had it about 4 months now and I've done about 4,500 miles in that time. So I thought I'd put together a quick little video. So what's it like to run one of these cars? In the 4 months I've had it, I've done the brakes front and back. So genuine discs and pads were about £520 from Mercedes, but that was offset on the price when I bought the car anyway. I've had to replace the intercooler pump. Now some of you may know when that goes down, you basically lose all boost because your intake air temperature just skyrockets and it gets to dangerous levels, so the boost is cut from the supercharger. That was 150 quid, 30 minutes of my time, so not too much of a problem. Ball joint on the driver's side started really squeaking like a shitty old pram, so that had to be done. The ball joints were £30, I got both sides, and then I had to buy some specialist tools to press them in and out. So overall cost was about 100 quid and it took me about 2 hours to do both sides, I suppose. Then I've had to replace the door handle. The keyless entry stopped working. I think that was just down to water ingress really. Seems to be a bit of a common problem. But that was £80 from a forum member for a colour-coded brand new item, so really happy with that. Miles per gallon wise, on a long run I get about 25 miles to the gallon. Around town it goes down to about 17 or 18. And since I've had the car, I think the car's averaged, it's averaged 19 miles to the gallon since I've had the car. So it's pretty reasonable considering the size and the power that you get. So things to look out for on these cars, I'd say the main one's got to be the airmatic suspension. It's obviously an air ride system with 2 sport settings, 1 comfort setting and a vehicle rise setting, which is really good for massive speed humps like big slopes and stuff like that. It raises it by, I don't know, 40-50 mil or something like that, so it's pretty significant. Best way to tell whether the airmatic suspension is working is obviously cycling through those modes and not getting any lights up on the dashboard. If you park the car up for a length of time, say an hour or 2 hours, just make sure it doesn't sink. It can start to get a bit pricey if there's any leaks or if any of the struts need replacing. My front 2 struts were previously replaced, and I believe they're about £1,000 for lifetime units. The rears are still the original and I'm hoping to get quite a bit of time out of those yet. Then moving on from that, the SBC unit, which is the braking unit, is another high worry item. Basically it has a counter for the amount of actuations the pump can go through before it needs resetting or replacing. That usually is indicated by a light on the dashboard, or you can plug it into a diagnostics machine just to see how many actuations is left on the pump before it needs looking at. The engine's pretty bulletproof. There's no real worry there as long as it's been serviced and maintained correctly. Supercharger, they're getting to that age now where you really should change the supercharger oil, but that's like £30. The gearbox, as I say, the gearbox is mostly bulletproof as well with the engine, but there is a problem where the coolant fluid will mix with the transmission fluid, which is obviously not good. You're not lubing up the gearbox no more. This is an easy preventive fix though. It's about £30 for the plug and about 30 minutes of your time basically, so that's nice and easy to be done. Then obviously just usual car stuff, make sure all the ball joints and whatnot are okay. Again, they're fairly reasonably priced. And then another thing, these cars are getting on a bit now. I mean, this is 14 years old. So rust can be an issue, so make sure you get underneath it, make sure you look around the rear arches, just check for any serious rust. I mean, all cars are going to have a bit of rust, so try not to worry too much. Then the other things are electrical stuff. As I say, I've had to replace my door handle, but that's the only thing I can think of. I know if they've got the panoramic roof, that can be a bit of an issue. The seat adjustment and the massage is all controlled via an air system, so the pumps can go in the back. But other than that, they're pretty good to go, so just give it a good checking over before you think about buying one. I have to say the engine's got to be my favourite part about this car. It's a 5.4 litre V8 making about 500 horsepower and about 500 pounds-foot of torque, and it really does sound quite nice. It's really nice and responsive, and it revs out to about 6,000. It certainly makes this car, which is about 2 tonnes, move along at quite a serious pace. I think this car handles surprisingly well. I mean, for a 2-ton car, it seems to get round corners fairly quickly. If you've got the suspension in sport setting too, it firms up the ride quite a bit, and there's a lot less roll in the corners. I mean, you approach a corner and you think you're not going that quick, and then you look down the speedo and you realise that you're actually carrying quite a bit of speed. I mean, it's not going to set the world on fire, it's no B-road blaster, but I think it carries its own, especially at 2 tons. It does get round a corner fairly quick. So the brakes on these cars have got 8 pop Brembos up front, 4 pop Brembos at the back. I think they're 390mm discs up front, so fairly sizable, and they're definitely adequate. The SBC system really helps these stop really quickly. I mean, I almost look forward to braking hard as much as I do accelerating hard. I mean, it really does stop, especially for a 2-ton car that's capable of nearly 200 miles an hour. I mean, yeah. It stops really well, and really impressively so. So the gearbox is a 5-speed slush box. It has got these silly little buttons at the back. And they're only really good if you want to mess about, to be honest. Turn the traction control off and do whatever you want to do to have a bit of fun. But for day-to-day driving, you don't really use these. They're pretty pointless. Being a 2003 slush box, it's really quite slow, downshifts and upshifts, but it's also incredibly smooth. There's 3 settings, obviously manual, comfort and sport. Sport just holds on to the revs quite a bit, and comfort just tries to make it as smooth as possible, but I find just sticking it in sport and leaving it in sport, it's smooth enough, and I get the driving experience I want. It definitely could do with a TCU tune, just to make the shifts a little bit quicker, be that up or down. It'd be really nice if I could introduce like a blip on the throttle for downshifts as well. Whether that can be done or not, I don't know. Hopefully it's something I can look into. But 5-speed, I don't really miss having 6 gears like I did in the Audi. There's plenty of torque in this car, and 5 gears is more than enough. You seem to be in the right gear no matter what. Especially to make progress quicker than most things on the road, so it's not a problem. So the options I got on this car are mainly just the seats. So I've got dynamic seats where the bolsters move left and right as you're turning a corner over anything over 30 miles an hour, I think it is. It also has the pulse massage seats, so they say massage, but it's more like just that in your back, so I don't really use it that much. It's not really my thing. I don't have the Harman Kardon system, which is pretty good. I don't want all the fibre optics and the unit at the back. It's just something else to go wrong, and the sound difference is, well, it's not noticeable at all. It has a sat-nav command unit, keyless entry and go. As I say, you just press the button on the gear stick to start the car. But other than that, it doesn't really have anything. It's got heated seats, rear blind, So for a 2003 car, it's fairly okay equipped, but nothing like today's standards. To bring it a bit more into the modern era, I have a Vizio Bluetooth unit, which is really good for your hands-free Bluetooth and also streaming Spotify. So there's not really much more I'd want from the car, to be honest, from the inside anyway. So far, the modifications I've done on the car are a rear E63 boot lid spoiler. That's colour coded from Malaysia for about £70. That really modernises the rear end of the car, especially with the carbon rear diffuser I've added. That was an absolute pig of a job to get that to fit correctly, but now it's on, I think it's really worth it. It really does set the back end off quite nicely. I've also done a rear resonator delete on the exhaust, and also the secondary catalytic converters as well. They're gone. Still retaining the front catalytic converters, so it's still MOT friendly. I've ordered lowering links because I just think it needs to sit a little bit lower, and some spacers just to bring the stance out, just to make it look a little bit more purposeful, because at the moment it does look quite high and wallowy. Obviously I can't go too silly with the lowering, because I don't want to upset all the geometry settings. They're bad enough as it is, and I don't really want to go through tyres any quicker than I already do. There might be plans to do a pulley and a map, but to be honest, it doesn't need to be any faster. It's plenty quick enough. I've never been driving it and thinking I need to be going faster. This thing could be doing with some more power. It's really not like that. There's always adequate power. I don't really need it, but it's available, so I might have my arm twisted to go and get that done. But other than that, I just want to keep on enjoying it and just driving it. There's nothing else I really want to do. I think I'll be keeping the car for a good few years yet. I can't think of anything at its price point that really compares, or that I'd rather. I mean, sure, there's plenty more capable, chuckable hatchbacks out there that I could go for, but I'd rather something a bit more comfortable, a bit more usable, especially as I do a lot of motorway driving. I can't think of anything until you get to about 20-25 grand as a price point that I would rather have than this. So I'd be thinking of like a C63, RS6 V10, maybe an E63 estate. As I said, there's not really much I'd rather than this. So as long as it's reliable and keeps me happy, I don't think I'll be looking for a replacement anytime soon. I think I'll be keeping it for quite a few years yet. thanks for watching my first video. Hopefully you all enjoyed it and I didn't bore you to tears. Please like, comment and subscribe, and hopefully I'll get some more content out to you soon. Thanks, bye.